Welcome to, it is now 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday evening. And for me, it is Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Australian Standard Time. And here I am, an American fundraiser, coming to you again live. Could you believe it's Saturday morning and I just couldn't get out of the office? I'm still here. I'm still sitting here on Saturday morning, still have my newsletter to write, all of that fun stuff. So you get the office background, and not even the nice office background, you get the office background. But I am coming to you live today to talk a little bit about a topic that really has been percolating a lot in a lot of my coaching sessions. I am in the process of developing some signature coaching programs for you all. One is how to advance in your fundraising career. The second one is how to be a smash success and meet expectations in your first 90 days. And then how to be an engaged board of directors. And then the last one, which I'm getting a lot of interest in, is actually how to plan your capital campaign. So what I wanted to come to you live today with is this whole topic around advancing in your fundraising career. Now, how do I know how to speak on this? I mean, in the real world charity how-to would say, why are you the topic expert? Why am I the topic expert? Because number one, I have advanced in my fundraising career, and I've done it the hard way and learned a lot of lessons. So I share with you some of my thoughts. And some of my thoughts actually come courtesy from my very own life coach, Dr. Ellen Albertson, who I have been working with for the last 2 years. Been working with Dr. Ellen to help me supercharge my life. And so I've had a lot of coaching conversations lately that I've either picked up that folks are not so happy in where they're at, or looking for different opportunities for advancement. Now, for me, what often happened is that I was floundering, right? I was just really stuck going from one bad job to the next. So I would immediately be in a job and start looking for one to get out of the current situation and move into. And that was completely the wrong move, because I just ended up moving from organization to organization and needing to put out fires in all of the organizations. So they were really bad career moves going that way. And I see some other people who are doing it still that way. Like they're like, oh my goodness, I'm in this fundraising job. The boss is coming at me and telling me that I need to raise $300,000 in the next 3 months or I'm out of here. And so what do? Your first inclination is to say, I got to start looking for a job, right? And so for me, what ended up happening, and I'm just being very vulnerable here, that exact set of circumstances happened. And basically, what I would have done, or what I've done in the past, is start to put my resume out there and say, oh my gosh, I have got to find a job to get out of here. I was so frightened about not having a job, and I was so frightened to be in the job that I was at, that I just kept on bouncing from worst place to worst place, right? From, what do they call that saying? From the frying pan into the fire, because I was making really bad career choice moves, right? I was not thinking it out. My only escape route was to get out of that job that I was in. And my rationale was, let me find a job just to get out of that one, and just to get myself stabilized, to get out of that, can I say hellhole? To get out of that hellhole. And I just found myself in even more of a bad place. So that happened so many times that I just decided, screw that. I'm going to be a consultant. And that's what I did. And I launched my business. However, there's been a lot of, on my coaching calls lately, a lot of people that I'm finding like they're not happy where they're at. They were sold a bill of goods up the river. They were told one thing, and then they get how many of that has happened to, how much has that happened to us? My gosh, we're told one thing, and then we get into the organization, and the freaking house is on fire. I'm sorry, getting really passionate about this topic, but it's true, right? We get into the next organization. Whoa, day one's fine, but then you find out on day two that, oh my gosh, this place needs some serious turnaround fiscally. They didn't tell me this, right? So I see a lot of this in my coaching calls. So what do we do about it? I try to say to people as I'm coaching them, and this comes from Dr. Ellen, my life coach. I love her. She has changed my life. That's why I'm sitting here in Australia. It's not the best view right now. I couldn't get away from my office. But I'm sitting here in Australia, and let me tell you why. She sat down and she said to me, what does your ideal life look like in 5 years? And I was like, whoa, I haven't thought past next month, never mind 5 years, right? And so she really helped me to sit down, and now I'm sharing this with my coaching clients, to really sit down and say to yourself, okay, in 5 years from now, what do I want my life professionally and personally to look like? And I recommend that each of you there are some of you on this live, please type in, say hello. There are more of you on this live. Please share with me who's on, because I can't see that right now. I just see the number and where you're at. And how many of you have been in bad jobs that you're just sending your resume out to look for the next job just to get out of that one, and you end up in another hellhole. So what Dr. Ellen said to me was, and I urge the same thing to you this weekend, pull out a journal, go buy a beautiful journal, and really project yourself into the future and say, not just professionally, but personally, what do I want my life to look like in 5 years? When I wake up in the morning, what is the first thing that I do? For me, it was, I go for a run, I eat my breakfast, and then Carla, awesome. Well, listen in, right? So Carla, where are you at? Where do you live? And tell me more. And so I sat down when she had me do this exercise. I sat down and I said, okay, I want to get up, go for a run, take care of myself. I want to have breakfast. I want to work 4 hours a day. And then in the afternoon, I want to be playing tennis. And, think about where do you want to live? How far away do you want to work? What are your work hours? What do you want to be doing personally, with your family? What do you want to be doing? Phoenix, it must be talking about hot as hell, leaving one job to go into the next. It's literally hot as hell in Phoenix, I'm assuming. What do you want your life to, what does that day look like? What does your ideal day look like from the time that you wake up until the time that you go to bed? Because you know what, folks, it is not just about getting into that next best job. It's about getting into that next best life. And until I stopped and thought about that really strongly, I really had to sit down and say, oh my gosh, it really is not, my work supports my life. And sometimes, right, Carla, we feel like we are just working to the bone and we have no life. So envision what your life looks like in 5 years. And I'm not just talking professionally, I'm talking personally. Do you want to spend more time with your family? Do you want to be a caregiver, maybe to your ailing parents? It's only 101, not hot as hell unless it's over 110. Holy cow, that is freaking hot. Oh my gosh. Don't you sometimes feel like, Carla, though, that like the jobs that were like, it feels hot as hell in some of these jobs. It feels like you can't even get your breath. You can't even catch your breath before you are thrown into the next fire. And the expectations around, you need to be doing this, and then tomorrow you need to be doing that, and then I want you focusing on this. It's like, holy cow. So if you actually write out in a journal, and Carla, I'm going to ask you to write out in a journal and report back to us on Monday morning, what does your ideal life look like? Do you work from 8 to 4? Do you work from 8 to 1? Are you taking care of your parents? Are you going swimming in the afternoon? Because until you have that vision of what your life looks like in 5 years, you are not going to be choosing the next best steps to get you to that 5-year goal. I had a coaching client just this week, well, actually last Friday, and we were talking about how her ideal goal is one day to take a legacy gift from her parents and run a foundation and be an executive director of that foundation. So how are you going to find the next career steps that lead you to become an executive director? And so that 5-year vision for her is allowing her to take that and to vet her career opportunities that she is applying for and that are coming to her today. And we actually stepped down that list. We said, okay, is this a salary that you're looking for that you can live on? All right, is this going to get you to that executive director position? And she said to me, you know, the executive director said to me, there's room, I'm going to be transitioning out, and there's going to be room for someone to step into this position in the future. She wanted to spend more time dedicated to her family. What are her working hours going to be at this new position? So it's about using that, not just writing out that 5-year vision to have it, but using it as a tool to pick your next steps so that you're constantly moving towards that vision. The other thing that I'm doing currently right now, see how that says design, it's about designing your life. It's about getting out of these foxholes, or these, you know, you feel like the bombs, like we're in a foxhole and the bombs are constantly coming around us. And sometimes we have no other thing to do than to duck. We're sitting in a career foxhole and we just need to duck. And sometimes we try to get out and here comes another bomb flying at us. I mean, doesn't it feel that way, Carla? And who else is on this live? I see someone else joining us. Type into the comments box, just like Carla did, who you are and where you're coming in from. But we are talking about setting a vision for your career advancement and getting out of this whole moving from the frying pan to the fire by just kind of picking jobs just to get out of the last one. How many of us can sympathize with that? Picking a job just to get out of the last one that hurt like hell. So the other exercise that I am currently doing, look, it's current because it's got my coffee stain on it, but I am actually going through what I like to do, right? This is called Good Time Journal Activity Log. It's not all good time, let me tell you. It's not all good time, even with consulting. And I work, Regan! Oh my gosh, Regan, I haven't seen you forever on any of these lives. Where have you been? Where you been, Regan? I hope you're not in one of those career foxholes just trying to survive. But tell me where you've been, type in. So what I have been doing, and it's not all glory days in consulting either, okay? I work directly on client projects just like you do. So, you know, 10 hours a week I'm working on, you know, a calendar year-end campaign for a client and working on, you know, writing a grant for that particular client. And then I go on to another client. So sometimes I feel like I'm not liking everything I do, you know, so it is hard work. So the other thing besides creating your 5-year vision, Regan, I'm catching Regan up here, caller. Create your 5-year vision for what you'd like your job and your life. Like look ahead, zoom ahead and think, all right, this is September 20th, 2024. What time do you wake up? What do you do next? What does your work life look like? Where do you live? Maybe, Carla, you want to get the heck out of Phoenix. I don't know, right? What are those next things that what are you doing? Describe a day. Put yourself in a day and just freehand write about it. Then the other thing that I recommend that you do in the same journal, so busy fitting your career goals with back to school and back to school, what are you going to school for? Or is that just your kids going back to school? So career goals, what are your career goals? Tell us about your career goals. So taking out your day and going through everything that you do in a single day and writing it out and saying, I like this a lot. This kind of really, can I say, sucks? I don't want to do it again ever if I have to. And then I don't like this, but I have to do it no matter what job I do in, things like going to development committee meetings and writing up minutes and those kinds of things. Yeah, we don't like them, but write it down and just go through a day. I'm doing a whole week, actually. Look at this. I don't like inventory. Sometimes I think just using your iPhone is so much better than using the Facebook interface. So let's see if you are catching me. So what I highly recommend is that if you're not currently doing a like and dislike, and I hope that I am not on my Facebook page here. So anyways, if you are not currently doing a like and dislikes inventory, I highly recommend that you do a likes and dislikes inventory, right? Oh, there we go. We're back on. Okay. I highly recommend that you do a likes and dislikes inventory to catalog your day. In addition to that, go back into your journal and write out what your vision is for the next 5 years. Write that out and keep some kind of daily, weekly journal that highlights, you highlight what it is that you do every day and whether or not you like or dislike it. Okay, so make sure that you're doing these two things. Now, Carla and Regan, I lost my broadcast earlier, so I'm going to expect that both of you, I don't know if you're both on right now, but I'm going to expect that both of you report back in on Monday how this exercise went for you in terms of visioning your life in 5 years and doing a likes and dislikes. You don't have to have one of these fancy sheets, but if you want a likes and dislikes worksheet, I have one that I give to my coaching clients. And from there, I can send it to you if you just private message me. And from there, then you really start to have a framework around which to make some solid career decisions around. And that's what I coach folks around with. I'm developing a signature coaching program called How to Advance in Your Fundraising Career that I'm going to take people through the steps, including this whole career, kind of this visioning exercise, exploration, including how do you spiff up your resume, what are your internal strengths, your weaknesses, how do we build a unique selling proposition around your brand, who you are, how do we encapsulate that into your resume, into your social media sites, how do we use your social media sites, how do we get you out there networking in the right places based upon your vision. So I'm developing this whole signature coaching program that I'm going to take people through, and then developing one. Hi Regan, I'm very lucky in my current position to have incredibly, oh gosh, this is awful, supportive boss who insists I proactively pursue professional development opportunities and even furthering my education. But I struggle with liking my organization, what I do, but being unsure about my career trajectory and advancement opportunities. Well, Regan, the question is, I wish I could bring you on screen. I don't think that I can. Wouldn't that be cool?
The question is, right, really do that vision exercise, because you're struggling with liking your organization and what you do. The question is, are you with the mission that you should be with? So think about in 5 years from now, what kind of organization do I really want to be working with? I mentor someone actually through AFP, and one of the things we were talking about is she said to me, I really want to work with animal advocacy, animal rights organizations. So I said, okay, if that's where you really want to be, the mission that makes you so passionate, how can we look at getting you, maybe there's no job opportunities right now, but maybe we can look at getting you volunteering or, maybe supporting those organizations in different ways, and unsure about your career trajectory and advancement opportunities within it. So when you think about that, Regan, what is the challenge there? What are you unsure about? Are you unsure that you want to advance? Are you unsure about where you want to be in 5 years? Do you want to be a chief development officer? Do you want to be a major do you want to play not a lower playing role, but an ancillary role like maybe a major gifts officer? Do you want to be an executive director? Hey, do you want to be a consultant who works 4 hours a day? Not, obviously, been up since 3 a.m. today. Do you want to be a consultant who works 4 hours a week and dedicates the rest of that time to her family? So those are the deep questions that you need to ask yourself and say, what am I really challenged by here? Is it my organization's mission? Is it I'm unsure where I want to be? But I think that visioning exercise will help provide some real clarity around what is your ideal day like? Regan, if I were to say to you, tomorrow, if you could have the ideal day, what would that look like? Like, what time would you get up? How would things roll for you? What would you eat for breakfast, right? Would you exercise? Would you start work at 9:30 and work to 2 p.m.? What inspires you? Those likes and dislikes. What do you like doing? And I think that for you may help you think about what your career, when you look at your advancement opportunities or your career trajectory, what do you like doing? What do you not like doing? Some people will come right out and say to me, I don't like meeting with donors. I am scared about meeting with donors. So maybe that is not something that you want to focus on in the future. So I think really that likes and dislikes. Regan's coming in here. I just wish we could bring you on. We have such a small staff right now, and it almost feels like several people have to leave for me to get to the position within my organization. But I don't spend too many years of my career, my life, waiting on other people. Good point, right? So if you're not a waiter, what's the next best step? Yeah, both exercises, Regan, will really be helpful to crystallize and say, and tomorrow, if I were to wake up and my ideal day was here, or 5 years from now, what does that day look like? And then the question begs itself, are you living that ideal day? And if you're not, where's the disconnect? Where's the dissonance between what your ideal day is and where you are now? And then the likes and dislikes exercise really will help you say, I really hate doing, data entry, or I hate having, I don't know if you're there or what you're doing, but I'm just giving you some examples. For me, it was like waking up early and exhausted. I like every morning, Regan, and I'm assuming Carla, if you're still on, just type into the comments box that you're still on. I wake up at, some nights I was waking up at midnight. Some nights I was waking up at 3 a.m. because I'm in Australia working on East Coast time. So the reality is, I was saying I'm exhausted. I mean, look at me. I'm exhausted. So that it's not as fun as we all think, right? Working in Australia or being in Australia. So the time zone difference is so vast. It's 14 hours. Like you're on Friday night. I'm on Saturday morning at almost 9:30. So then I started to say, okay, waking up early, I'm exhausted. Hi, Carla, you're back. So what do I need to do about that? I'm not liking it. I'm not liking waking up early. So now what I have done, because I've realized that, is I've shifted all my appointments to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I'm leaving Thursdays and Fridays to myself. Now that doesn't mean I'm not going to work on Thursdays and Fridays. And mind you, Thursdays and Fridays for you are Fridays and Saturdays for me. But that means that I will have time to just focus on project work, time to focus on catching up. And I have blocked off my calendar. I wish I could show it to you, so that I am not taking appointments before 4 a.m. my time, which is 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, in a couple of weeks, Australia is going to go through a time change, meaning that we're going to go ahead and you're going to go, well, you're not going to go behind until November, but we're going to go ahead, which means that I won't be taking appointments until 1 p.m. Eastern Time, which is still 4 a.m. my time. And then the question will beg itself, do I want to keep taking appointments at 7 or 8 a.m., which is my breakfast time? But the point of the matter is that I'm starting to design my life by looking at what I like and don't like. And I made a note that says in a couple of weeks, I'm going to assess the time change and what my hours are. And if I don't like working at 7 or 8 a.m. my time, guess what? I'm going to block those suckers off, because I'm not going to continue to live a work life and a personal life that I am not happy with, or that's making me exhausted. So the same thing goes with you. Right now you're in a job, but by designing your vision and what you like and don't like, you get to say and put parameters around, what you're liking or not liking. And maybe, granted, you can't quit your job right now, but you can say, all right, when I go to look at my next job or my next place, I can say, all right, what are the hours? Am I going to be working, am I going to be working at 2 a.m. versus 4 a.m.? Or, so you really get to design that life and find the next career position and stop doing what I was doing for so long. That was like, oh my gosh, this job is so bad. I've got to just start putting my resume out there and taking the next job that comes to me and just leaving, always with the intent that I would find something else. And so I always felt like I was leaving the frying pan to go into the fire. Regan here is saying it's that constant battle of person versus professional too. My job really fits well into my personal life, but I'm not sure if it will be the best for me professionally in the long run. So the question begs itself, what's more important, right? So 5 years from now, when you look back and you say, is career advancement the value that I want to have? Is that more important than personally? The question begs itself, how far do you want to advance, right, up that career ladder? How important is that to you personally and professionally? So for a long time, and I still struggle with this on a daily basis, for a long time, it was, professionally, that was my life. And so I realized that I compromised a lot personally to get where I am in the consulting world. And so there's been that realization. Now, when the opportunity of being in Australia presented, and I split my time between the United States and Australia. When the opportunity of being in Australia presented itself to me, I was scared. I was scared to death of what would happen to my business after I worked so long and so hard to build it up. However, there was also a realization that finally, at some point, I wanted to live that life that I had envisioned that I would be living in 5 years. So there was a trade-off that I needed to make. And so being true to what is your vision for 5 years, who do you want to be, has helped to really guide me. And in essence, can I say that the sky has fallen since I've been in Australia? Probably not. I mean, I'm taking on more client projects. I get inquiries every week. I'm trying to grow the coaching side of my business because that's what I love to do. Is I love to help new nonprofit professionals flourish in their jobs, and help people find their way to really having their best career life, both personally and professionally. So this has been a long road, but I hope that both Carla and Regan and someone else just joined us, whoever you are, type into the comments box who you are and where you're located, because I'm not, for some reason, some days on Facebook I get to see like who pops in, and then other days I don't. So please type in. Today's one of those days Facebook isn't cooperating. I just know there's more than Carla and Regan on, but I don't know who you are. So just type into the comments box who you are and where you're in from. But I'll check back with you on Monday. Remember, vision exercise and likes and dislikes. Get a journal, buy a pretty one, and just fill that out this weekend and get that done, and then report back in the group on Monday morning. And I'm so glad that Carla participated in the assessment challenge. I hope that you found that extremely useful for you, if not right now, at least to get your organization starting to assess where you starting to do assessment, right? I was talking to someone today, and it was like, okay, what are the goals? What are your goals for calendar year end? What are you hoping to achieve by mounting your calendar year end campaign? Are you hoping to acquire new donors? Are you hoping to bring back lapsed donors? Are you hoping to increase the number of gifts by a certain percentage? What are your goals? And, if you don't know where you have been, you can't really set strong goals for your calendar year end. So looking back provides a lot of data around your donor retention rate, around how your last appeals trended, what were the strategies behind those past appeals, and how can you use that data to plan, to develop strategy around. Absolutely critical. So I'm glad that, Carla, you got an aha moment out of that. And Regan, you get unbusy. You sound too busy. So this weekend, get out that journal, promise me, and I'll check back in with you on Monday morning, which is my Tuesday morning. So have a great weekend, everyone. If you're not already signed up for the webinar that I'm doing next week on successful calendar year-end fundraising, get signed up for that. It includes one-on-one personal coaching with me for one session around your calendar year-end campaign strategy, and a group session at the end of November, sometime in November, to look at how your calendar year-end appeal is trending and plan follow-up. But you too, Carla, have a great weekend, both of you. See you on Monday with your results. Have a great weekend.